I'd love to keep that. Can I hang that in my office? You know what this looks like? It looks like a tie. To the Mayor's Hour.
Yeah.
All right, Brian.
All right, here we go. Here we go. This is the one-time winner. Nice.
And he got it again.
That's
he
it.
lifted it. There you go. Hey. All right.
And I got my bait back.
Well, this is a day that I hoped would never come. I'm Bob Buckhorn. I am the mayor of Tampa, and joining me today for the last time is my friend and co-host of the Mayor's Hour, the infamous pride of West Virginia, the famous Jack Harris. We are...
I think infamous covers it better.
Yep. I think kin to the Hatfields and McCoys. I'm not sure which side of the equation.
I'm a Hatfield.
Yeah, we discovered that during the course of
That's
one of our
right.
Mayor's Hours, that you were related to someone else who was
Yeah,
down
the
here.
Hatfields.
But we are, as evidenced by the cake there, we are here to film the last Mayor's Hour that Jack will do. I still have 18 torturous Mayor's Hour to go before I wind down my career. But Jack, this is the last one, and we will miss you immensely. I can tell you that.
Well, I've enjoyed it really to the nth degree. It's been such an educational experience because we've done so many things. I mean, the extremes really, from the garbage dump to a chance to really get to know people in Metropolitan Ministries in the children's home.
Yeah.
And even though that's a little outside of town, it was great that we were able to do one and learn what great work they do there. But things like, again, the garbage dump, I don't know why that one keeps coming to mind, because people have no idea what all happens out there. And you can't just drive out and say, I want to see your garbage dump. It's all blocked off, and you got to know somebody to get in there. And the one at the dam, I was not even aware of what all happened at the Hillsborough Dam, Hillsborough River Dam.
The big reservoir, yeah.
Yeah, and that's amazing, and they're able to manipulate it to try to avoid flooding and things like that.
What, for those of you that follow the show, which I know numbers in the millions, absolute millions.
Oh, you betcha.
You know, we're big on proclaiming big numbers on this show. Millions.
Millions. It's huge.
Huge, yeah. Jack has done over 200 Mayor's Hours.
Has it been that many?
Yeah. Starting with Mayor Greco, and then 8 years with Mayor Iorio, and now almost 8 years with me. You obviously have fallen a long way.
I have not, I had not realized it was that many Mayor's Hours. I guess I didn't count them up or something, but.
Yeah, it's been a long time. You have put up with a lot of mayors.
But it's been fun along the way, it really has. And the difference in mayors has been fun. I mean, you know, of course, I've known you before, well before. My son is a big fan of yours, and my wife. And we've gotten together at other events and things like that. And so I knew you very well coming into being a part of the Mayor's Hour, but finally I'm just getting too elderly. Time to hang it up.
You know, it's funny because in 1989, on behalf of Mayor Sandy Friedman, this was before the Mayor's Hour existed.
Yeah.
There's a great picture of you and I on your show that you used to do at Busch Gardens.
Oh yeah.
As Sandy declared Jack Harris Day, and this was almost 30 years ago, Jack.
Wow, I'd forgotten about that.
I had dark hair. I was about 20 pounds less than what I am now. You were youthful as could be.
I didn't have a beer gut.
And we were all enjoying life. But yeah, almost 30 years ago.
Oh man, and I loved that show, doing that show out there too. That was just a great experience, the old Harrison Company, and we had it at Busch Gardens. And that thing could have continued, and they brought in a new person to run Busch Gardens back then. And I've heard from the guys who were CEOs beforehand and since then who said that was not a good move on her part to kill that show, because she wanted to turn that studio into a bakery.
Oh, wow.
And they offered us another place to do it, but it was one of the outside areas. And I said, you can't do a show outside in the summertime.
No.
With cameras and everything. It couldn't be possible, and we then moved the show for a couple of years out to Brandon Town Center, and it just lost its pizzazz, and we killed it.
Now that was part of Channel 13 at the time, right? Is that who you?
No, that was Channel 8.
Channel 8.
Now
okay.
I also did, let's see, 6 years on Pulse Plus
Oh, that's
back
what I
on
thought,
Channel
yeah.
13.
Yeah.
And then when I left, or when they folded that show, I went over, well, ultimately I was just doing a bit on their noon show, and when they had the Olympics, all the Olympians came to Busch Gardens, and we went out there, and I did kind of a remote with them, and Paul Cato, who was station manager then, said, you know what, we're going to do a half-hour show out here every day. At the end of the news, we'll come out here, and that's how Harrison Company was born, and that lasted 8 years, I guess.
Wow. Well, we're here at the studios of iHeartRadio, and we're going to do the morning show with Jack and Ted Webb, another longtime dear friend of mine, and who is also retiring in January.
Yeah, end of January.
And so the Jack and Ted duo that all of us have gotten up every morning to listen to, is
I sure have.
and yeah, a new chapter is about to occur. But we hopefully will continue to hear Jack's voice. Stay with us. We're going to kind of relive some of the highlights of the Mayor's Hours, Jack, and we're going to celebrate all that you have brought to the table and all the mayors that you have made look awfully good. Stay with us. We will be right back.
It's 8:26, and it's the Mayor's Hour, as well as AM Tampa Bay. Mayor Bob Buckhorn and the CTTV crew out here filming, and we'll tell you all about it when you can see it. And Mayor, you want to open this stuff now, the food here? We got enough food to feed everybody FEMA's been feeding here from Patch's Place.
You know, anything from Patch's Place is good and filling, and this means I won't have to eat for another week. That's such an iconic restaurant, Jack.
It is.
And they're closing.
Yeah.
At the end of the year.
That will be sad. I don't get there nearly as much as I used to be able to, but it's a place in Tampa that everyone knows. You're there every morning, I think.
I know. Weekends when we're in town, I get there religiously. But
did you get that bacon extra burnt for Jack? You know how he likes it.
They burned the bacon just right. They did the eggs just right. They got the right jelly here, and I got a feeling when I open that, it's going to have some burnt toast or something.
The smoke alarms go off when they're cooking for this guy.
You know what?
Everything
got
burnt.
that syrup and butter with the eggs. This is something I started eating recently. Take a pancake and a couple of eggs that break, and cut them all up and add syrup and all that. I don't know why I do that. But
Yeah, we don't know why either.
it says, Jack, thanks for coming in all these years and supporting Patches. And my girls, you are our #1 customer, and that's from Esoon.
Yep, that's a wonderful, wonderful group of employees that are there. They take care of their customers for sure.
Juanita, Mary, the whole gang, I love them.
Yep.
I'll be there
Christy
Thursday.
and all of them.
It will be a sad day when, if and when they close. Hopefully, they'll find a way to stay open. We'll miss
I
them.
wish they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor old Esoon works every day but Thanksgiving. That's the only day they close. She's there every day of the year.
Well, I
is
know
incredible.
I won't have to take my cholesterol medicine.
You will have to after
I will
this.
after I eat there, yeah, for sure. But it's delicious, absolutely delicious.
Well, we're going to be joined by yet another mayor coming up here in just a few minutes. It's 8:28 on AM Tampa Bay. Good morning. It's AM Mayor's Hour here this morning, AM Tampa Bay, and we're joined by, we got about 15 people in here as we are doing the Mayor's Hour in the last hour of AM Tampa Bay. So we got the guys and gals from CTTV and YouTube these days, which we didn't used to have, but and this crew, a lot of this crew has been around since we started doing the Mayor's Hour many, many years ago, Teddy.
22 years ago.
22 years ago, began doing the Mayor's Hour. And anyway, Mayor Bob Buckhorn is doing the final hour here with us to see how easy this is.
Or as we call him in West Tampa, Babacon.
Babacon. Let me get your mic on here, Mayor Babacon.
Yeah, this is the reason we're here is this is the last Mayor's Hour that Jack Harris is doing with us. After how many years, Jack?
22 years.
22 years of co-hosting the Mayor's Hour, making mayors look good, look articulate, look like we know what we're doing. This is Jack's last Mayor's Hour.
Yeah, Teddy started with us back 22 years ago with Greco, and it was in the basement of the CTTV building. And I guess that basement is gone now or something, isn't it?
Well, that was before they had filters and 3-second delays, Teddy. So this is a family show, so we had to
get Teddy out.
We had to get Teddy out.
That could have been a major problem. But no, this is great, and of course, it's changed. The big change that's happened. Very few personnel changes. We used to have Mindy Snyder and. Who else do we have? Mark Flynn and a bunch of other people along the way. But a lot of the people are still here that were with them then. And I see Carrie Polis has got a big camera over there now. She's had a baby recently. Well, not too recently, but.
Yeah, they will outlast any mayor. They will be here long after I'm gone, and whoever the next mayor is, they'll still be making mayors look good.
What I learned is it's not just you two. There's so many people behind the scenes, and as Jack's kind of rallying it off now, it's a family you guys have here.
It is. We're just the eye candy, Aaron.
Yeah, right.
It is. And going to the different places and setting up. I mean, we've been out at the Hillsborough River Dam or the garbage dump or all of these places where they have to set up.
Watch your language. The mayor just said it's a family show.
What, garbage dump?
No, dam.
I forgot about that. We can't say that.
You know, it really has been fun to tell Tampa's story and to show people some of the things behind the scenes that they would never get to see, Jack. And
oh yeah,
you know, I can't tell you how many people that stop me on the street and say, Jack Harris does a great job. You're worthless. We love watching Jack. And I didn't know how intricate and how complex what the city government does is. And this show is an opportunity to go behind the scenes, to see the great employees that we have, and to also go see a lot of other things in the community that they would never get a chance to see.
Yeah, places where the average person doesn't get to go. But we are going to meet some of the people that have been involved in Mayor's Hours past, beginning with Mayor Dick Greco, who is on the line here right now. And Mayor Greco, are you on board there?
You guys are having a good time this morning.
We wish you were here,
betcha.
Dickie.
We even we've even got food here, I understand.
Well, 22 years. I knew it was a long time ago, but every once in a while, when numbers like that come up, kind of scary.
You were kind of bold too, because I remember when we started the Mayor's Hour, Dickie Greco said, "We'll take phone calls. We don't want them screened." We said, "You sure you don't want these things screened?" "Nope, just let them call up." And we got
we got some crazy ones.
We got some crazies, didn't we?
Dick, they're still out there calling me.
One night that was telling us about the sinkhole in his front yard. He said, "Let me describe it to you." And he got a flashlight supposedly and walked out. And he said, "Let's see, the hole looks like it." And all of a sudden he started screaming on the telephone like he fell in the hole. And it was somebody of yours. And we had no idea who was going to call in or what they were going to say. We just winged it.
It was one of our colleagues that faked that one.
That was
Schnitt. In a sinkhole.
Yeah.
But I remember somebody mad, "I got chickens in my yard."
That was Charlie Miranda. And he still has chickens in his yard.
Yeah, he probably sure does. There's no question. Bob, I'm glad to see you awake and well after being up in a hurricane for 3-4 days with no sleep.
Well, thanks, Dick.
Glad we came through that well. You did a great job.
Well, thank you. It was the team around me that made us all look good, and I think the world saw a city that was prepared.
Well, we've come a long, long way, and we've got a long way to go, and we're heading in the right direction. Appreciate everything you've done. Jack, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for not only the Mayor's Hour, but for everything you've ever been asked to do, every civic event, the MC, on and on. You have done this for years and years. I know you're going to continue. And you're the best, my friend. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. It beats working for a living, though. I'll guarantee you that.
Dick, he may be one of the only guys in this town that has eaten more rubber chicken than you and I.
That is true.
That's probably true, no question.
You do eat a lot of not very good tasting chicken along the way.
And peas.
But
it's wonderful to go to all these places and describe them and so forth to people. And I remember going to McDill with Jack and on to some of the things he mentioned earlier. One night we decided to take a tour of Ybor City.
Oh, brother!
And that was they filmed part of that. That was great.
That's the one I'll never forget. First of all, we didn't start filming until after 8 o'clock in Ybor City.
That's never a good thing.
And I'd gone to have dinner and a few beers along with dinner, and then I go meet him. We went to about, how many bars did we go to? About 5 bars.
Yeah, at least.
That's when you lost
Everyone
count.
we'd walk in, the first thing they do is hand you a beer.
Well, I can tell you that by the end of the night, when you two were at the castle in leather, it was not it was not a good scene.
I just remember at the end of the night thinking, uh-oh, I can't wait to see this one. And sure enough, I was loaded.
Poor Linda and Joy, he almost divorced the two of you.
Well, this town has a lot to offer. Gee whiz, when you think of that and think of how far we've come in 20-some years, and all the things everywhere you look, something's happening, and it's all good.
Oh, yeah.
And Bob, I know you're having a great time with opening up new things and people coming in every day and loving where we live. And one thing hasn't changed. People are very friendly here, extremely. Everywhere you go, people are happy, they're smiling, and even in traffic.
Yeah. Well, maybe not on the Howard Franklin
Yeah, I
Bridge.
was going to say
What
that.
roads do you drive, Mayor?
They're waving at me with one finger. I don't know about the rest of you.
Yeah, I've had that happen frequently where I live.
Well, Mayor Greco, we appreciate your joining us this morning on AM Tampa Bay, and appreciate you getting me and Teddy back then involved on the Mayor's Hour when you cranked it up 22 years ago.
Keep up the good work, and I know you will. And Bob, you do the same, my friend. And we're looking forward to bigger and better things every day of our lives. We're very fortunate to live here, very blessed.
You better believe it.
People like you all make that happen.
And same to you,
thank
Dick.
All of you.
Thank you, Diggy.
Mayor Dick Greco. Good morning. It's AM Tampa Bay with Jack and Ted and Aaron, and it's a 4-man show. We got the quadrumvirate. Quadrumvirate? I don't even know if that's a word.
I
here
don't
today.
either, but it sounds good.
Yeah, Mayor Bob Buckhorn is on hand here for our final hour as we are recording the Mayor's Hour, which will be running on CTTV and YouTube. And we're just celebrating a lot of years of the Mayor's Hour here, as a matter of fact. And joining us right now is former Mayor Pam Iorio. And Mayor Pam, you there?
Good morning.
Well, welcome on board here this morning. We got Mayor, or what do you call Babacon?
Babacon, Mayor Babacon.
As Teddy calls him here, along with, we had a chance to talk to Mayor Greco earlier, and great to have you on board as well.
It's great to be with all of you. And hello, Mayor Buckhorn.
Good morning, Madam Mayor.
Good morning. And Ted, I have read about your impending retirement, and you are going to be sorely missed. You're a joy to work with. And,
Thank you, Mayor.
Pam, and I'm going to have to take his place in 18 months because, I'll be retiring soon as well.
Oh, that's right. Okay, well, at least you know what you're going to be doing.
Actually, I'll be cutting the grass out in front of the news station.
In all probability. We're talking about some of the early shows, and I remember learning where all our garbage goes one time, and most people aren't aware of what happens to your garbage, but that's pretty enlightening. But I remember when you took me out we did a show at the golf courses, and you embarrassed the heck out of me.
I remember the golf course and remember how cold it was, and we had to go out on the golf course that one time with our winter jackets on.
I know.
And the one I remember that was so much fun is when we went to Busch Gardens and you ate some bugs. They had some bugs there.
Oh, yeah.
And then you started eating them. That's when I was really worried about you. And
Pam, he's from West Virginia. What do you expect?
I know. I got very concerned. And he seemed to perk up after eating them, too.
Well, they're full of energy.
The ones with the Buccaneers were always fun, and we always made our bets. Do you still do that? Make your bet with the mayor about what the season's going to look like?
We need to do that. We need to get him in on our bets down here. And, of course, you get a big prize at the end of the year what was that prize? I forgot.
Well, I don't think we never really had it. I think it was just the ability to say I was the one that, that you guessed it right?
Did you beat him, Mayor?
I don't think so. I think he usually had it better than I did. I was always overly optimistic about our Buccaneers, and then we had a great time with the Lightning all the time. Remember, we would go out on that thing. What's it called? The
Zamboni.
The Zamboni.
The Zamboni.
Yep. And I just saw a picture the other day of you and me, and I think it was Madden and.
Oh yeah, we went out on we went out on the field, and remember we pitched and we tried to swing at the bat, and then we talked to Madden and the players. So I think I like the sports ones the best. I really always enjoyed being with you out the Bucks, the Lightning, and the Rays, and then the resource recovery plant, which you called the eighth wonder of the world, which it is pretty remarkable mound of garbage.
Oh, it is, and people don't get to see that. I mean, because it's blocked off or locked off, and you got to know somebody to get in there or do a mayor's hour in there.
I think, Mayor Buckhorn, why don't you sell tickets? That could be a revenue stream.
We could use a little revenue. I got about 50,000 cubic yards of debris that I'm happy to show people if they want to see it right now.
There you go. Well, what else did we do? We did a lot of fun things. I mean, it was always a highlight every month being with you and traveling around the city. You just added, the show wouldn't have been much if it had just been me. But with you, it really added a spark, and we had such a good time together. Remember, we exercised. We exercised together.
Oh, that was another one. I hated those. The worst was, though, when you showed me up on the golf course.
Well,
you have fallen a long way, Jack. I've known Mayor Pam a lot of years, and that athletic prowess is something to beat.
At least Jack's not eating bugs anymore.
Well, if they're served right, they're okay.
Yeah, you ate them with gusto, if I recall.
Yeah, they had to be burnt.
So what was your favorite, Jack, of all the years?
Oh, man, that is tough. I mean, again, I remember the golf course, just the challenge of it, and I'm being so bad. And I'm like you. I liked going down there with the Lightning and the Storm and the Buccaneers and and on the baseball field. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, those were really the fun times. And remember, we had the World Series that that whole thing that we went all out for when the Rays were in the World Series. And then we had the Lightning that won the Stanley Cup. And so we had shows around that and the parade that we had. So, and we had our Super Bowl. And so we had the Super Bowl in 2009. So we had, highlighted that. And it just was a lot of fun. We have such a wonderful city, and you just can't run out of ideas because there are so many places to go throughout the city and show people all the different aspects of what we have. Loved it all.
Mayor, any plans to get back into politics?
No, I'm busy with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, and it keeps me pretty busy. And we just work on mentoring young people all across the country. So that's my focus.
Well, Mayor, we appreciate your joining us on AM Tampa Bay this morning, the Mayor's Hour.
You're going to be
edition.
missed.
Yeah, he will be missed, Pam.
Well, you got two mayors here right now that are talking that I thought would have been great candidates for governor.
Oh, yeah, definitely so.
Well, thank you.
But who knows? Maybe someday.
I loved every aspect of the 8 years, and I so appreciate the great job that Mayor Buckhorn has done. And Ted, going to miss you very much. And Jack, there's no doubt that the Mayor's Hour will not be the same without your bug-eating ways.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate your joining us.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Pam.
All right,
Pam
bye-bye.
Iorio, former mayor and head of Big Brothers Big Sisters nationwide now, as a matter of fact. And we're coming up on 8:48. We've already done Rack Your Brain, and we're going to get together here more for the Mayor's Hour, which you'll be able to see in November when it comes on CTTV and YouTube now. And more chatting here with the mayor coming up in about 6 minutes. But it's 8:48. We go to the newsroom right now, and Chris Trinkman. It's 8:54 as we've combined AM Tampa Bay and the Mayor's Hour, which will be seen on CTTV and YouTube here beginning in November. This is the whole month of November it'll be running. You get a chance to see the studios and all the people here. We got any shots of all the people involved in this thing? That would be a great shot to get, and I think Carrie's getting a shot of everybody but herself.
Wake up, everybody.
Somebody shoot Carrie. Boom.
Smiles and waves. Lots of smiles and waves.
There you go. By the way, I got to read this. Today in history, on this day, October 10th, 1852, the voters abolished the City of Tampa.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 165 years ago.
Don't give them any ideas. We don't want to be a part of the county.
Incorporated in 1855.
All right. Thank goodness for that.
And by the way, we know Mindy Snyder and Mark Flynn are listening right now.
Good.
Hearing the Mayor's Hour.
They were some of the original characters on this show we do, Jack.
CTTV. And I got to say, as I know you had thought about running for governor at one time and toyed with it and then said, nah, I don't want to do that. That I've known in working with you on the Mayor's Hour and knowing you as long as I have, if they came to you and said, now you can either have 8 years as president or 8 more years of City of Tampa, you'd take 8 more years of City of Tampa.
I would do that in a heartbeat. I think I have the best job in America, and I truly love coming to work every day. I mean, I cannot wait to get to work every day.
Oh, I know. And I know when you were talking about running for governor, and it was just like, well, I'd have to live in Tallahassee, and I wouldn't want to do that, and all that stuff like that.
You know, the difference, Jack, is, aside from the fact that they have sucked all the joy out of politics once you get beyond this level, because, you know, it's all about the money. When you're a mayor, you can build a city, and you can shape a city, and you can leave a legacy. And if you're in public service to do and not just be a mayor. I mean, a mayor, I think, because you really don't have to worry about who's a Democrat or who's a Republican. All you do is the job that you were hired to do. And, you know, that generally doesn't involve partisan politics. It involves moving this city to the next level. And, you know, you've heard from Mayor Greco and Mayor Iorio, all of whom did an amazing job. And I think if you talk to anybody, even if they have moved on to the governor or the U.S. senator, they would tell you their favorite job was being the mayor. And I feel the same way.
Of all the time that you've spent as mayor, what is your greatest accomplishment in your opinion?
You know, Teddy, I don't think a lot about that. I think when I leave this office, hopefully I will have left the city in better shape than it was given to me by Mayor Pam. That's what all of us aspire to do. But I think if I can look back on one thing, and it's not a brick and mortar thing, it is hopefully that this city emerged out of this recession and took on a whole new life. The cities tend to take on the personality of the mayor. And this city has emerged out of that dark period of time to become that place in America that everyone wants to be. We've got our swagger back. There's a sense of Tampa pride that perhaps didn't exist before. I could not be prouder to have been a small part of that, because I'm confident that when I'm done, the next chapter that the next mayor will write and this city will write will be an amazing chapter. This will be a different place over the next 5 years. And so I love to have seen that metamorphosis and to know that my kids are going to be part of a city that really is yet to write its last chapter.
And I'll tell you, one big accomplishment is, and I love that river walk. That's incredible. And our river walk, I think, is better than the one in San Antonio, really.
Yeah, that river walk, and remember, Jack, and you and I have talked about this, and Teddy, you'll remember, 6 mayors and 40 years in the making, going back to Mayor Billy Poe. And each mayor has done their portion of it. That Riverwalk has changed our city. I mean, that's a brick and mortar accomplishment that I'm pretty proud of, but more importantly, it has changed the way the city thinks about itself. It's changed the way we interact with the waterfront. It's led to a lot of private development occurring as a result of it. So yeah, I think when we look back in time, the completion of that Riverwalk will probably be one of the most pivotal events that in our city's development history.
You found a way to keep Tampa with it, that feeling of Tampa, because all the crew teams that went in the water and put all their signs up on the wall there, you guys moved that to a different portion of the Hillsborough River, which is just incredible.
Yeah, we always want to maintain what makes Tampa so special, Aaron. I mean, we're on the verge of becoming a destination for a lot of young people and talent. But what makes us unique is that we're authentic. I mean, we are Ybor City. We are West Tampa. We are immigrants who came here. We are different than most American cities. We don't ever want to lose that. We want to grow, and we want to continue to prosper, but we also want to retain what makes this such a special place.
Well, we appreciate your coming down here and joining us for the Mayor's Hour here, which will be seen in November. And
well, we're here for you, Jack. This is the last Mayor's Hour with Jack Harris.
My last hurrah.
I'm just happy to have been part of the first one
That's
and part
right.
of the last one with
The
you.
first ones and the last ones. I hadn't thought about
Teddy
that.
took a little break, but we're glad to have you back, Teddy.
21.5-year break.
You know, these
Congratulations,
high-maintenance performers, you know, they're probably in his contract or something.
And I don't know if the mayor's going to make it in the morning at 5, but if he doesn't, Teddy and Aaron and I will see you tomorrow morning at 5 on AM Tampa Bay.
Live it up.
Jack, that was, as it always is with you and Teddy in the morning, that's a lot of fun. I mean,
Well, it was great having you in there.
You know, and the chance to hear from Mayor Greco and Mayor Iorio and some of the folks whose successes, you know, I obviously am appreciative of and building on.
Yeah, you guys have, I mean, certainly Pam built on what Dick had done, and you've done a job on going beyond that. And again, the River Walk and so many other things, though, and the fact that we're now getting Super Bowls, we're regular in the Super Bowl rotation, and I think we're going to end up as a regular in the college football championship.
too.
And ultimately, if we can ever kick the legislature into some sense, we might end up as Hollywood East as well. Start getting movies here and things like that.
You know, it's funny, and you and I have talked about this over the years, how every mayor, certainly in my lifetime here and probably yours, has been the right person at the right time. You know, from Billy Poe to Bob Martinez to Sandy Friedman to Dick Greco to Pam Iorio and now to me. Every one of those mayors has contributed and left a building block for the next mayor to build on. And it's, you know, the Riverwalk's a great example, and we talked about it today. 6 mayors, and 40 years in the process to build that Riverwalk. And it's, you know, it's a game changer for Tampa. But there are other projects like that, you know, whether it was, you know, Dick Greco building the resource recovery plant and the water plant that now sustains us moving forward, and all the work Sandy Friedman did downtown with the Performing Arts Center and the Convention Center and the aquarium.
Yeah, that Performing Arts Center is really impressive. I mean, that's turned into something. And the Convention Center and some of the great conventions that we've been able to get down here. And, of course, working in conjunction with MacDill Air Force Base and the fact we've got them and they're growing as well. And the people they bring into the community, these veterans, are fantastic.
Well, you and I did the Air Force Ball the other night.
Yeah.
You know, as many people know, Jack Harris is always the guy to go to MC one of these events, partially because you never say no because you've got such a great heart for the community, and you know, in the legendary MCs, you know, it's you. It was Tom McEwen.
Oh,
you
yeah,
remember
Lord
those days?
Tom McEwen, yeah.
Rick Naif at the time.
Naif.
I mean, you three were the, you know, Steve Otto every now and then.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
You were the guys that could.
We had a lot of fun doing those things.
Those were fun days.
A couple of them we rotated.
Yeah. But, you know, this show we get to interview you a little bit. So we're going to find out a little bit about what most of the folks don't know about you. How you got your start, where you grew up. Everyone knows you're from West Virginia, but probably doesn't know a lot of the details about where you grew up and how you got your start in radio. So you know, this is our chance to celebrate Jack Harris's life.
Well, it was a small town in southern West Virginia, a coal mining town that's used to be thriving. When I was a youngster, it was thriving. We were just back there a couple of weeks ago, and it's dying now, as you might imagine. But, I mean, that was where I was sort of reared there, and Stanton, Virginia, and Timberville, Virginia, and my dad was in the military. We spent a year and a half in Japan after World War II, I think it was 47 and 48. And
Now, was he from West Virginia originally?
no, he was from Stanton, Virginia originally. That's where his family is from. And he went to work at a place called Guy and Machinery in Logan. Well, he followed his brother who had gone to work there.
And did they service the
met
coal industry?
Logan people, and it was coal machinery then. The place is gone now, as you might imagine, but he and his brother ended up over there, and they both met women from Logan and married them. My mom and
Were they cousins?
no, they weren't cousins. Although, ironically, I am related to a couple of people both ways through my dad and through my mom.
I couldn't help myself.
But that's a West Virginia
It
thing.
is a West Virginia thing.
But then I ended up 10 years in Morgantown. And even to this day, at no time did I ever say, well, I'm going to make a career out of radio. Because I started college in Davidson College, going into the ministry, and decided, well, it might not be right for me. And so I was on a scholarship, had to give it up, and I couldn't afford to stay there. So I transferred to West Virginia University, and we didn't have much money then, so I went to ROTC. That got me in 2 wars accidentally in only 2 years, and then the Dominican Republic and Vietnam. And then I came back. I had to get a part-time job at a radio station because I'd done it a little in my hometown of Logan right out of high school, just kind of a part-time thing. And so I was able to get a gig just minding the store at night, really. And then as somebody would leave, I was able to move up and ended up news director. And then finally I created a talk show and then started doing the morning show. But all the time I was hoping to save enough money to go to law school. And still haven't gotten there.
So after college, you went into the Army? I mean, you were in ROTC
Right.
in college.
Yeah. I stayed out a year, and
Right.
then I went in a year after I had graduated from college. And you have a 2-year active duty obligation, then you've got a reserve. I never had to do the reserve thing, but after being in a year active, I was with Special Forces, PSYOPs, and they had the outburst in Dominican Republic, and I was at Fort Bragg, sent the 82nd down there, and that was, we lost a few guys. I mean, maybe 10 or 15, which is tragic. But beyond that, it was a crazy war. I mean, I had one of my guys, I got him a Purple Heart. He got shot in the foot buying a beer. And he didn't even know he'd been shot. He ran over and said, I think I got stung by a bee. I said, a bee can't sting through the boot. And I looked and it had a bullet in it.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, they called me back from that to see if I wanted to volunteer for the Pacific.
Now,
And
you were a first lieutenant or second lieutenant?
I was second lieutenant then, yeah, from ROTC. And I said, yeah, Hawaii, is that where? And they said, well, we can't say.
It's close to Hawaii.
Yeah, and I said, that ain't the way you get people to Vietnam, is it?
Yeah.
And he said, go watch the President Johnson's speech at noon today and come back and see me this afternoon. And he said, we're sending the first Air Cav. And I came back, no, I'm not going to do that. And he said, well, you can either volunteer today and pick your own guys, or I'll pick them and you're going tomorrow. So I
So
said,
you went
"Okay."
as part of the first Air Cav?
I went over on the ship with him,
Right.
but not with him. I was, well, it was PSYOPs and Special Forces, and we were put on an advisory team, 3-corps advisory team, they called it. And
what year was this?
This would have been 65 when that thing first started.
Right. So, yeah, so this was at the
when
very
build-up
beginning. Yeah.
began, yeah.
So there weren't a lot of American troops over there at that point, were there?
No, we went over together, and they ended up, I went out in the field a lot and worked with the different units, the 173rd and the 101st Screaming Eagles and a bunch of others. But it was something you wouldn't want to ever have to do again, but you are glad you had the experience. And
so
came back into radio.
So after Vietnam, you came back to West Virginia?
Yeah, and I was offered a job. I went up and applied for a job at Alcoa in Pittsburgh, and went then down to Logan and got a telegram saying I'd gotten a job in the marketing department up there. So I was driving up through, and I decided to spend the evening in Morgantown on the way up there, and the guy there took me out for a few beers, and I ended up staying there and giving up the job at Alcoa.
Huh. So literally, you were on your way to a different job
Yeah,
and had a few beers,
yeah.
woke up. Is this one of those ones when you go,
What have I done?
yeah, exactly. And that's how the radio career started?
That was how I came back doing a morning show. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then I left him. I came down here in '70 when we had a snowstorm on Easter morning, and I mean it was 10 inches of snow. I said, "That's it. I'm going south. That's it." And I ended up down here. And then I left.
Did you have a job when you came down here?
Yeah, I came down and interviewed one weekend, and then.
At
went
what
back
station?
At 970.
No kidding.
It was 97 WFLA then. And I came down as the production director, which the guys now would find a joke. I can't do anything. And did a 3-hour midday show. And then I got bumped to afternoons and then mornings, and finally got to stay there.
What was Tampa like when you came down?
It was amazing. There, the only tall building was then, I think it was the Exchange Bank building.
Yeah.
And that was it for tall buildings. But it was impressive to me because I came from West Virginia. I thought, wow, this is a big town. And then I got to see St. Petersburg and everything, and I thought, this is a great place to be. And I loved the bay. The fact back then, I remember crossing Gandy, the old original Gandy Bridge, I guess it was, but it was pretty impressive even then.
And that was what year?
That would have been 1970.
Okay, so the Bucks weren't here.
Nothing. They had UT football.
That's right. Yeah.
And then USF got a basketball program, and I was on the first broadcast team with that, and
Wow.
ended up doing USF, Buccaneers, Bandits, Storm, what else? Rowdies. Rowdies became a big thing in the mid-'70s.
And so you did the play-by-play and the broadcast for all of those?
Yeah, I didn't do play-by-play for the Bucks or the Bandits, but I did for the others. Started with USF, then Tampa Bay Storm for 20-some years, and now the only thing, and the Outback Bowl since it started, that's the only thing I do is the Outback Bowl now. So I'm retired from that too.
Jeez. That's a, you know, your voice has sort of echoed through the pages of Tampa's history.
Well, the airport, you and I at the airport
Yeah, that's
for a long
right.
time.
That's right. Yeah.
But they finally wised up and replaced me with a nice sounding woman's voice.
Is that what they did?
Yep.
Shameful.
But no, she sounds great. She sounds great, believe me.
Reminding people to check their baggage or whatever it is.
Yeah. Please stand clear of the doors and hold the handrails firmly at all times. And then you come popping on there, hey, I'm Mayor Bob Buckhorn, welcome to Tampa.
Yep. Bubba Corn.
Bubba Corn.
So you've seen a lot of changes in this city.
Oh, big time. Many, many changes. And it's just gotten better and better, like you say, and better. And as I said earlier when we were doing the show on the air, the amazing thing about you, and I know at one time you talked about running for governor, and then know that I happen to know from knowing you personally that you would rather do this than be president of the United States.
Yep.
That's the amazing thing.
Yep.
And I just remember talking about governor, and I said, you ought to run, you ought to run. I'm being encouraged by my son and wife, and you said, I don't want to live in Tallahassee, I want to live right here. And I thought, well, the governor's mansion isn't a bad place.
No, it's not bad. That's not bad. I don't think my kids want to go though. So when you first came here, who was the mayor? Was it Dick Greco the first time?
It would have been, yeah, Dick Greco was the first time. And I remember going to his office one time in the old City Hall building, and or the old city building, and to get a voice track. I used to have a character called Moose the Time Tone. It was a little tiny guy that would run in and go beep, and then he'd run back out, and it was a high-speed beep.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'd have him say things, and it was just a speeded up tape. And I got him to do, because I was getting celebrities back then to do it, I got him to say, hi, this is Mayor Dick Greco, and on behalf of Moose the Time Tone, I'd like to say beep. And I got all kinds, I mean, I got Mick Jagger doing it, I got all kinds of movie stars, people that would fill in for Moose and all that. That was a bit that I ran back in the 70s.
How has radio changed?
Pretty dramatically. Fortunately, back then I was playing records, but I
Actually,
had,
records. You know, putting records on
put
the turntable.
records on the thing. I got a broken arm wrestling one time. Do you remember the Damn Shanty? It was called.
I remember hearing about it.
It was an old bar behind the radio, and Channel 8 and the radio station were together back then. And they used to all hang out at the Damn Shanty when work was finished. They'd head over there Friday afternoons, big time. And
early afternoons.
Yeah, and early afternoon until late afternoon. I was in there one time, and a guy turned out he was Southeast arm wrestling champion or something, and he was challenging everybody, and I knew I couldn't beat him. I thought, I'll just see how long I can last with him. And we got up there and going at it, and all of a sudden, I'm trying to hold on and hear a loud explosion. It sounded like a gunshot, and I didn't know what had happened. And everybody's running around, and I thought my arm was still up like this, and I was looking around. It was dangling over the edge of the thing there. But the worst part of it was trying to cue records with
your arm
one
in a sling.
hand, with my arm in a sling. I got pictures emceeing with my arm up there in a sling.
So you were not just doing talk, you were doing music too?
Yeah, we did music, and we did a lot of bits. I had a serial on love bugs, Lance Lovelot and his lovely little lass Lana, and all this stuff.
How do you think of these things?
Beer.
Yeah, beer.
They keep popping up all the time. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and you had a lot of leeway then. And then ultimately I ended up on the Power Pig. I was on the Q Zoo for a couple of years.
Yeah, that was, when I first moved here, that was a big deal.
It was huge all over the country. The first one was here.
That was Mason Dixon and Scott Shannon.
Yep, Scott Shannon started it, and working with Cleveland Wheeler on the
that's
morning
right,
show,
yeah.
and Mason had the afternoon show. And I was, I was the one that got it turned into news talk accidentally. It was when we had Hurricane Elena out in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah.
And I had to evacuate. It was on a weekend, Labor Day, and I had to evacuate in the middle of the night. And I'm listening, and we're running just regular programming, and all these people are out there. I mean, the streets were jammed, the bridges and everything. About 2 or 3 in the morning, I got out at the radio station and went up, and I told the guy who was on, you go in there and answer or make phone calls to, sheriff's office and everything. And I got on. We started broadcasting, getting people on the air, and about the hurricane. And it ended up, they liked it so well. And when the guy came in to replace me, I said, just keep doing what I've been doing. Forget the regular programming. And they loved it so well, they said, we're going to go all news talk. And I said, I'm not too big on that. And I tried to work with it and just hated it because I wanted to play records again. So I got fired. And then I went to the Q Morning Zoo.
And what'd you do on the Q Morning Zoo?
I just joined Cleveland Wheeler, and Terrence McGovern was in there then too. And Terrence later got fired, but, or no, he left and then he got fired at the other place. But I was there for 2 years, and then I got a call from a guy named Randy Michaels came down, and he wanted me to come over to the FM, so he hired me over there, and that developed into what was called the Power Pig, which their slogan was talk dirty and play the hits, which I wasn't too crazy about it, but it was enormously successful, and it wiped out the Q Morning Zoo.
Huh.
And Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, the guy that does late night, was a producer there then. And when they fired Cleveland, and
he was the
all
producer
guys,
here in Tampa.
Yeah, at the Q Zoo.
Right.
And he got fired as a result of that, and I think he went to Jacksonville and then ended up out west. And
oh wow,
he
I
probably
never knew
owes
that.
his career to us.
Yeah. So I mean, you and Mason have got to be the longest serving, longest.
Probably so.
Yeah.
I'm thinking so. We sit and hash it over every year. We get together at the B More Awards,
right?
And we're probably the longest running. Teddy has been there for a long time too. Yeah, Teddy's probably the longest, and then Mason and myself. I think I got Mason beat a couple of years.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember Scott Shannon and Mason in Cleveland. I mean, in the early '80s when I first moved here, I mean that was a big deal. I mean,
it was huge.
And Scott Shannon is still on the air, I guess, California or somewhere.
No, he's up in New York.
Yeah,
he introduces on the radio, and I don't know if he does anything on TV with him, but you hear him on our radio station introducing Sean Hannity.
Okay.
He introduces him now, and so I mean he's still doing stuff up there in New York. It was funny when I first met him before the Q Zoo, right before the Q Zoo, he came in and I was at the Press Box restaurant, and the guy came up, tapped me on the shoulder, and hey, and he says, my name is Scott Shannon. I'm going to kick your rear. And I said, what is this all about? I said, did I upset you or something? He said, no. He said, I'm taking over at Q105, and we're going to kick your all's rear ends. And I said, oh, well, good luck. Have at it, because we were number one back then.
Yeah.
They did kick our rears.
But you moved to Washington somewhere in that time.
I went in '74. I went to D.C. Because what happened, I put out I did a record. It was a bit and ended up becoming a record, but it was a takeoff. There had been a thing called The Americans, a Canadian's Opinion, and it was a talk thing over America the Beautiful. And it became a big hit. It was a top 10 hit in this country, and I did just a parody on it and called it The Floridians a Yankees Opinion. And I just did it on a tape, one take. I used the same song that guy had used and threw it on the air the next day on a tape, and people went crazy. They wanted a copy of it. Everybody wanted a copy of it. So the boss ended up having it made into a 45 record, and I had a bit on the other side called the world's champion pogo stick guy, and he's bouncing around. He bounces through the roof and falls down, and just crazy stuff. But anyway, this thing, they ran out of copies, tried to get more copies and couldn't because the record company was putting out some hit record at the time. But I got 22 major market offers as a result of that.
Really?
And most of them were afternoons. One of them at KDKA, which is my dream station up in Pittsburgh. And then I got the offer from DC.
And what station was it in DC?
WRC. It was the NBC-owned station, and they offered me afternoons first, and I said, no, I don't do afternoons. Next day they called back and they said, well, the guy that we had for mornings says he'll do afternoons. That was Willard Scott.
Oh, wow.
And I said, mornings, I'll do it. I'll take it. And so I went up there to do that, and NBC, which owned it, decided to do a national radio news network. And in order to sell it across the country, they had to turn WRC into all news. And so I got put on the FM, and I was the first ever disco jock in the country, if you can believe that.
Disco.
And we were all disco, and that was the first disco station, and I did the morning show. And I remember, howdy, here's KC and the Sunshine Band.
Yeah.
I thought, this isn't working out. After 4 months of it, I said, that's it. I'm out of here. And I called my boss that I'd had at WFLA just to let him know. I said, I know you don't need anybody, but I'm going to be talking to WSUN, WQYK. I want to come back down there to Tampa Bay.
I'm done with this disco.
Yeah, I'd had it with that. And I'd gotten an offer to leave there to go to WOR in New York and one of the stations in Chicago. And I said, no, I'm going back to Tampa. And I called the manager just to let him know so he wouldn't be angry. And what are you doing? He said, no, don't do anything. I'll be there. He flew up that afternoon and again drinking beer that night. And I ended up coming back.
Yeah, your career has done well drinking beer.
It's a lot of beer involved in being in the radio. Fortunately, not while I'm on the air.
So what, you've got your son Jackson and your great wife Joy. What's next for you? What's the next chapter look like?
I'm guessing maybe retirement. I don't know.
I can't imagine that, Jack.
Well, I have fun. I mean, it beats working for a living, I like to say. And the tough part is getting the sleep right so you can get up at, because you have to get up at 4. But
I mean, you've got to be one of the hardest working guys in this business because you're up at 4 o'clock. But yet then I see you at, and I know you take naps in the afternoon sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
But I see you at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock when I'm still running, but I didn't start at 4 o'clock.
But I do take naps. I'm a great nap taker. That's the key. You got to be able to take that nap.
And so just a quick power nap, or do you take 2 or 3 hours?
I take about 2 hours
Do you?
in the afternoon.
And
2
you're not
hours.
groggy when you get up? I guess your body sort of acclimates.
No, you get used to it,
Yeah.
and you're into a cycle. And the weekend, unfortunately, people think I get up early on a weekend, and no way. The weekend I'll sleep, go to bed at 11 or midnight or something, and I'll sleep till 8 or 9 in the morning. And early in the week, it's harder to take naps. And even getting back into the routine, it takes till about Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you blow it up again on Saturday. But I sleep big on the weekends too. And again, it beats working.
Jeez. Well, I can't imagine not hearing your voice on the radio. It really has been a fun ride. Certainly, the 6.5 years you and I have been doing this show. I don't know how we're going to replace you. I don't know who we're going to replace you with.
Oh, there's some good people out there, I guarantee you.
I don't know that we can replace you.
Yes, I'm very replaceable.
But
take my word for it.
As I will be in 18 months as well. But
that'll be interesting to see who.
Yeah,
it
will
step
be.
into your shoes.
Yeah,
big shoes.
Well, we'll see. Everyone has a season, and mine will be coming to an end in 500 and something days. So, but it's been fun, Jack. It's been a good ride, and you've told Tampa's story as well as anybody possibly could.
Well, I tell you, it's been a great time for me. I mean, I've lucked into everything. I couldn't ask for a better life, really.
Yeah.
And especially ended up with Joy and Jackson. And
absolutely.
Things have gone well.
Yeah. Now, where's Jackson still living in the D.C. area?
Yeah, he's in working with that company that deals with airports all over the country and living in Arlington and liking it.
And Joy's written a book?
Oh, she's got getting ready to start her 4th. First was a cookbook. Second was the best, called Culinary History of Florida. And I really learned a lot about that from there. I mean, the first Thanksgiving was really in Florida with the Spaniards and the Indians over on the East Coast. And this is where bacon got started. Well, not bacon, but pigs were set free here. We're still trying to get a Baconalia started as celebration. And then her 3rd book was Florida Sweets. That's the one she's promoting now.
Yep.
And she's getting to work on a 4th one now, and I don't even know what that's going to be about, but something culinary, I'm sure. And we eat out.
You do.
She's the greatest cook in the Bay Area, and we eat out.
Yep. Well, on behalf of all the staff of CTTV, we've got a cake to celebrate. This being the last show, we just want you to know we appreciate all that you have done for us and for the city, and we know we haven't seen the last of you for sure.
Well, I hope not. And I'll tell you what, this CTTV crew has been incredible over the years. I mean, they are the most skilled. And I've done a lot of time on 8 and 13. I've even worked at 10 and 28. No, not 10. Every 9 and 28. Every station but 10. I'll have to miss that one, I guess. But these guys are, every station would love to have this crew.
Yep.
And CTTV is lucky to have them.
Yep, they make you and I look good.
They do that.
That's tough to do. Well, thanks, Jack. It's been a fun ride, and stay with us for what's coming up next. And just know that I appreciate the time I've spent with you.
Hey, thank you, Mayor Bob. It's been great for me.
It's been fun.
All right. Go Penn State, Nittany Lions.
That's right. Go Penn State. All right. We'll see you next month, and take good care, and make sure when you see this guy out on the street, tell him thanks for an amazing, amazing run.